Teacher Shadrach here, welcoming you to part 3 of our series of videos, Demystifying the Computer Studies Project, year 2025. And I want just to remind you that this is a series of videos, and if you have not watched part 1 and part 2, then you better first leave and just go, watch part 1, then watch part 2, so that you can be able to catch up with us where we are. In this part 3 video, I now take you to your screen there. You can see we have already loaded our project up there. It's up and running on your screen. And there it is, Victory School Club Membership System Demo. In video 2, in part 2 of our video, we had left an assignment that you go do what? You go create user interface forms to allow registration details to be input in various tables. And these tables were activities table. Up there we have activities table, and I have got an equivalent activities form. So if you look at the activities form which we did together, there it is, a floating form, and we learned how we design a floating form, a form which can only display one record at a time. Such forms in Microsoft Access, they are called columnar layout forms, a form that displays one record at a time. So this is the one which I had used as an example, and we had agreed that you go do other 4, and I believe you have already done them. Let's check together. Open your club's details form, open it. Aha, nice. If you have it like mine, like now for my clubs, because I have got several clubs, I can be able to navigate through. I want to go next, and previous, and last, and first. Okay, I want to try add new record. I want to go back to previous, and so on and so on. So my buttons are working on clubs details form and plus all the other forms that I have designed. So we have got membership details form, and there it is. Remember, in my relationships, if you remember, we had student details table which was related to clubs membership form, table. So I'll not go back to that. I've got patrons registration form. You can see it also accommodates an attachment of a photo, the photo of a teacher who becomes a patron. Like now, this is Mr. Dominic Wesley. You can see the photo there, and then you can navigate through the different patrons that we have around. Okay, so I did all the 5. Also for my students, you can see my student number 1 is Queen Stacy, and their details, and then there is this Peter Martin, and then there is Sharon Wamaida, and so on and so on. So my input forms mainly are working. So next, today I want us to first talk about designing tabular forms. You realize that whenever you open a table, any table, like for example, I want to display a list of classes that I have in our school. They are normally displayed in a layout that we call datasheet layout view. Now, in datasheet, it's just not very easily possible because to format, we may want to format, but formatting an item, it will affect almost everything. Like now I have changed the color from whatever it was, from black to red, and that you realize that will almost globally affect almost everything. So this is where now we want to design a tabular form which can allow dynamism, accommodate diverse formats that we may want to apply to various fields that we might be having. So I'll start actually with the form to display our classes, and that is the streams table. Do you want to save the changes? No, I don't want to save the changes. So let me select streams table, and then this time round I'm going to use create, and then this time I'm not going to use form design or form design or form, but I'm going to use form wizard. Everybody say form wizard. Form wizard is a series of steps that we are going to follow to come up with whatever we are anticipating to design. So let me choose form design, and then the streams table is the one which I had highlighted here on among the objects, and that's why the computer has already detected that, and it is suggesting that streams table is what is selected, and then now we only need to choose to select which fields do we want to work with. I want to select both fields, class ID and class name, as the fields that exist in streams table, and then carry on. Then in this window here, this is very, very critical. This is where we now choose which layout would you like to have for our form. There is tabular, there is columnar, as I had said, one record at a time, tabular, many records at a time, data sheet with limited formatting, justified, one record at a time. But the difference between columnar and justified is the placement of the labels. You realize that in columnar layout, labels will always appear on the left side, whereas the text boxes are appearing on the right side. Okay, in justified, the placement of the labels is always above, and then the text box will match underneath the label. Are we together that far? So we are choosing what? Tabular for this case. And then I carry on, call it what a name is most appealing, and I'm calling it streams FRM. This is a simple form, and there it is. Now I have said that why we may need to use this kind of layout is when you have got formattings to be done. You may want to apply some formats, and therefore, how can we apply formats? Very quickly, I can just go to design view and form header. I had talked about a theme. I'm not consistent in the theme, but let me just remember it. And then I want to rename this label up here, reduce the size of it, the height of it, so that I can be able to move it up here. And then I'll call it streams list. We can also call it classes list, or whatever name that you might find suitable for this label. You can apply the formats that you may want to apply. I believe you know how to format different items that you might be having on a form. Like now I want to also adjust the appearance of these labels to have them in color yellow and also bolded, and then class ID to be kindly pushed towards the left, and then class name, which might be slightly wider, I want to widen it. I'm using shift plus arrow key pointing right direction, a right arrow, which allows me to adjust the width, increase the width in this case. So you realize that now I have got a column for class name. I said you can only adjust the title, you can only adjust the label itself, but you cannot adjust the what? You cannot adjust the text appearing inside the text box. Okay, so let me just show my form again in form view. Better now, but not the best, of course. Somebody might be saying, let's eliminate also the boxes around the text entry areas. So it's easy again. I just need to select the two text boxes, and I go to format, and I go to shape outline. Shape outline is what is bringing that line around. So I will say transparent. When I say transparent, you realize that the lines have disappeared. The lines around the objects, the text boxes have disappeared. Then I may also want to change the color, the alternating colors that we have. We have gray versus white, and that one I can easily do by choosing detail section and then display its properties by double clicking it. And when I am in the properties sheet, and the details section is what is selected, then I can say alternate color, have it as which color. I can choose the build button to apply a color that relates with my brown theme. So you realize there it is. Okay, other issues might be questions as to whether you want to show these dividing lines, record selectors. Do you want to have a record selector? That's upon you now to choose whether you may want to have that or not have it. So that's too much for this form because it's a simple form. Guys, that's what you may repeat. If you have got a similar scenario like mine, you might find roles table. You will follow the same procedure. Which other one? Payment narrations table. You will follow the same procedure. That's just how we create a list. But now, I had also said in the previous video, I had said that there is a scenario where we may want to have a mother form and a child form. A mother to display a main record. For example, a student, in my case, I don't know how many of us have created two tables to handle issues of membership. There is the main table which stores information about all our learners in the institution. In my case, what am I calling it? I'm calling it the students TBL. Every learner is stored there. Then when they join a club, then they are displayed or they are stored in membership TBL. Okay, membership TBL. Now, this is a scenario where we may have a student appearing in 5 different clubs, in 4, in 3, in 10 different clubs, if that is permitted within the school. Of course, in the paper, we don't have a limitation for that, and therefore, it is possible for a student to join as many clubs as possible. So, student number 1, we may want to trace which clubs have they enrolled into. And that would be a scenario of having the student name appearing there at the top, and then which clubs do they belong into down there. So that's a scenario of a mother versus child. So what we do, this is what we shall do. I have selected the 2 tables. I don't know whether that's necessary or not necessary. And then I go to create, and then I now go to form wizard. This time I'm introducing the concept again of form wizard. In this case, form wizard becomes the best tool to use for such a scenario. Now, we've got the mother form. We've got the mother form here, which is the the mother form, which we will borrow from the mother table. The mother table in this case is the one which has got admission numbers of every learner. In my case, students TBL, and then I choose the fields as many as I have got need of. There can be cases where I don't require some of these fields, like date of birth might not be necessary for this particular case, for this particular scenario. So there are those fields, like now if I had some other fields like mother name, father name, county, and then place of birth, and when they joined the school, all those fields I could have just ignored them to pick only what is necessary to be displayed at the time the student we are querying which clubs do they belong. So we do the selection of only those fields which might be necessary for our scenario. Then after that, I want to select now fields that come from table 2. In this case, my second table is about memberships TBL. Memberships TBL. This is the one which is showing this particular student who is above there, the student above there in the mother form, which clubs have they enrolled into. So I'm going to choose the membership ID, then that's the number which is given at the time you register for a particular club. And then club ID, club ID in this case is the number or the name that is defining a particular club. And then the role that they play the role they perform. Then we may also want to have the date they joined a particular club. If you want to have more fields, you can always add them there. You can always add them there. Like, let me also add membership status. Membership status also to be shown. So you can now see I have got a mixture of fields that come from two different tables. Actually, they can be even more, but you need to actually think logically in this particular case, so that you do not mix fields that do not come from tables which are in a relationship. Remember, my students TBL and memberships TBL are interrelated. There is an interlinkage between the two. Then after that, you carry on. So you notice already Microsoft Access has got a way of detecting that this is a mixture of fields that come from two different tables. You can see that we can organize our data using the main table, students TBL, or the child table, the one which has a foreign key of admission number. I'm calling it student ID, in this case the membership TBL. If I choose membership TBL, again it will just be a mix of all the fields coming from the table, shown as if it were one form. But we want a scenario where we've got the mother form. We have got a mother form which has got the mother details, that is the main student's details, the student details, first name, middle name, admission number, student ID, gender, and the like. Those are student details. And then when they join clubs, these are details. In the child, we have details relating to which clubs have they enrolled in. Are we together that far? If we are together, now you can say amen. We move on to the next. And then how do we want to show, what layout do we want to use for our subform? Subform in this case referring to the child, the one which is placed inside the mother. So because we may want to have the formatting concept in mind, I'm not going to use datasheet because it has got limited formatting capabilities, and we are going to have tabular format, and that's the format for the subform. And then carry on next, and then naming these forms should always be like names that will not confuse you. Like I want to change the name of the mother form and call it clubs membership mother form, mother FRM. And the child form, I'm going to call it clubs membership child. Clubs membership, either subform is okay or child form. Let me call it subform. So the naming of the forms should be that clear, that you have a mother and then you have a child who is relying on the mother. Then when I click finish, I should now see the scenario or what the computer Microsoft Access generates for me. I zoom out so that you can see now. This is my first student, admission number 1, Queen Stacy Jane, and they now don't belong to any particular club. As for now, they don't belong to any particular club. So it's us now to be using this form to make them join a particular club. However, do you see like the layout of the form? The appearance of the form is very appealing to us? Not really. I don't really like it so much. So we are going to enhance some things here, especially on the membership, on the membership subform. I'm going to enhance a few things here and there. Therefore, better practice would be I close the mother form and open the child form in isolation, so that I first modify it, I polish it up, I work on it, I make sure that everything is neatly presented there, and then I thereafter I place it into the mother form once it's already complete. So I'm starting with the form header, which I'll put a back color to blend with my brown theme. I'm putting yellow color for my headers. That is column labels. I'm giving them a yellow color, probably bolded, and that is it. Then after that, something that I do not know whether it's displaying everything that it should display is club ID. Club ID, in this case, I have forced it somehow to display, although I'm calling it club ID, there is a hidden column. When I was constructing the relationships, I chose deliberately to hide the key column, which is club ID. But now here, what I'm seeing is the club name, which is okay, perfectly okay. And that's what probably in your relationships, if you use the wizard, there is a way that you hide the key column, the key field, so that you only have a second following field. In this case, I had selected the club name, okay, the role of the member, and then date joined. So I find the column for role might be too wide, and I might require to reduce it. Membership ID, I don't know whether there is any need for me to reduce it, because I also want to see the full title up there. So let me change, adjust the width of role. I adjust the width of role performed by this member. So I'm selecting both the label up there and the text box underneath it, and then I reduce. I'm using shift left arrow, and this is what I normally like to use as the shortcut for reducing the size. Then these others, I have selected the two columns together, the labels plus the text boxes, and I have been able to move them, to drag them. Like now I want to highlight a label, membership status, and the respective text box, and I reduce the size as well, and I therefore have a place now which is not utilized in my form. I can reduce like so. I can also decrease once again there to have a surplus space on the form. I reduce like that. I display in form view, and there it is again. I don't like the grays now that I'm talking about brown theme, so I'm going to choose a lighter color for my alternating color. So I go back to design view, and in details bar, I double click it to display the properties sheet. Remember I said if the properties sheet is not available, you check it up. In design menu, your design menu, you look for properties sheet. You need to toggle it on if it is off. So from the properties sheet, I have already selected the details section, the details band, and I want it to have an alternating color. And which color? I want to have a color that will alternate nicely with the brown theme that I'm using. So there it is, guys, and then I choose to display. So there it is. If you don't want these boxes, if you do not want these boxes that are being displayed here, you can always hide them. You can always hide them by removing their outline color. Which we are going to do that by selecting all the fields. Notice where have I placed the mouse pointer on the ruler, the vertical ruler in this case. That's where I'm pointing at. I know the mouse pointer is not relating to where I'm pointing, but my ruler, I'm pointing to the horizontal ruler, vertical ruler within the details band, like I am pointing directly to membership ID. And then when I click, you realize the whole of all the text boxes in that row, they are all selected. For what? We can apply a similar format for them, and that would be one of them is removing the outline color. So on format menu up there, I have already selected shape outline, and I'm choosing transparent, the outline to be transparent. Another thing that I can change in these labels, I can also choose to apply a brown color for the text boxes, and probably bolded, even in case I need them to be bolded. I'm only doing this to show you What else can you do in such a scenario of a tabular layout form? So there it is. You can see the details band. We have white alternating with something like pinkish and so on. So my club's membership subform is already nicely done, and then I close it. Remember to save the changes, and now I go to design the mother. I go to design the mother club's membership mother form in design view. Now let's first display so that you see some of the needs that we have to do on this form. You realize that even though the membership form is already displaying something, or the colors that I have already used, you notice that we are not able to see it in totality. So what do we do? We are going to make some adjustments also on the mother, like this title. How do I make it? This title is the title that we have for the subform. So I want it to be placing it. I want to place it on the top of the subform that I have there. So how do I drag it? This is a common question. How do I drag a label without affecting the corresponding item? You hold it on the top left handle, which is used for dragging purposes. Are we together? For dragging purposes. Now, the form now, the subform now, we can make it to move towards the left side by dragging left side to just get so close to the vertical ruler there, so that we have enough area, we have surplus area to do adjustment. And in this case, the adjustment that we want to do is to widen the form. You notice my desire is to have all labels being visible: club ID, role, and date joined, then member something. Okay, so there's still something that's hidden. So I want to click on the form in a way that I can be able to adjust it, and then using the middle sizing handle vertically, I can widen the form so that I now have all the labels in display the way I want. So once we have ensured that we have seen all the labels, avoid having extra surplus space towards the right, because that will be a space that is wasted. Okay. Now, having done so, guys, the next thing that we might do, we might want to change the title of the subform. The title of the subform, which currently is called Club's Membership, but I want now to change it. And I want to show what? I want to show a clubs joined by above member. Okay, very good. Clubs joined by the above member. Then remember to always be consistent with your formatting. If you are using a certain color theme, be consistent around it. Be consistent to retain that theme color that you are using. So I don't know whether that one now meets our desired kind of output. So I've got this is our member number 10. If I go to our member number 1, who has no membership, who has not claimed any membership to any particular club, Queen Stacy is her name, I want them to now join several clubs. I want her to join our renowned computer club there, and we give her a position that she is she's a member. I don't know whether we have already allocated somebody towards the to the position of chairmanship and so on. And then I also want them to join another club called Debate Club, and you can see that because I have used automatically generated membership ID, this number is automatically being generated. And then again, she joins in as an assistant treasurer. This is the form again which you are going to be using to designate a member to particular position of leadership that they have been given in that particular club. So you can see, guys, how it works. Then don't forget to also do adjustments to the mother form, so that finally now you'll be having a nice looking form, a mother versus the child. So a member can now be associated to as many clubs as you wish to, using the scenario of a mother and a sub form, a child form. Are we together? So that's the thing that I would like you to do. You are going to find that one being very, very critical to activities versus activities contributions. You want to know who are the people who contributed towards a particular activity. And then you also want to know, when I select a particular club, then who are the members who exist in that particular club. There are many scenarios that you are going to require to have a mother and a subform, or a child kind of a scenario. And that is one example. And what I would recommend now, if you look at your relationships window, you are going to see which other scenarios do require a child, a mother and a child kind of a scenario. So far I have dealt with what? I have got a primary key on the student's details table, and it's a foreign key. Student ID is a foreign key in memberships TBL, and that is where we have now a mother form displaying students' details, and then a subform displaying the membership details. I don't know whether we are getting that. So another scenario might be which class. I don't know whether there will be such a scenario where you require to know which class has got what students. Okay, which class has got what students, and that is another scenario that you can have there. Another scenario is the one I have already talked about. Activities. Yes, we have got an activity name donating towards a needy person somewhere, and then who are the contributors. In that case, again, we would require a mother and a child form. Then what else? We have clubs. What activities have these clubs engaged into? We have again categories. Which are the clubs that have been registered under a particular category? Are we together? And so many other scenarios. You're going to look at one-to-many relationship is going to give us a mother-to-child scenario in terms of a mother form and a subform. So do as many scenarios as possible. You are going to require them as you continue with your project. You may want to be listing items which belong to a particular category up there. Are we together? So I'm going to showcase later on those forms that I'll have developed using this kind of a scenario, a mother and a respective child, and so on and so on. Otherwise, that's what I wanted us to discuss for now. May you have a blessed day. May God keep you safe until we meet again. Thank you. Take care. Stay cool.